So here are the 3 portraits that come with the statue. And in my opinion, I think Prime 1 did a very good job with them. They used more realistic proportions as opposed to Miura-san's manga art. And for the most part, I think it really works really well. You can see the spiky hair, the brand of sacrifice. And they used translucent resin to kind of mimic real skin. And as a result, there's like some really cool textures that you could see and a nice depth to it. So that was the normal head. So now we'll go to the smiling portrait. And for the most part, it's pretty similar to the serious portrait. As you can see from behind, I love that they have the gushing brand of sacrifice with the blood, which denotes evil demons are near. And again, the translucent resin looks really, really cool up close. And in certain light, it kind of looks like sweat. So yeah, a really, really cool portrait. And finally, we have my favorite portrait, which is the sinister grinning portrait. And wow, I really love the cuts and the blood splatter on the face. And yeah, I mean, there's like so much malicious intent in Guts' look in this. I mean, you know Guts is gonna get serious and some serious shit is about to go down. And here's the gushing brand of sacrifice on both the smiling heads. And compare that to the normal head. So it's a really cool Easter egg that Prime 1 did, as far as like the differences in the brands. So yeah, overall, I think the heads are really, really well done, and I love Prime 1's bent on having realistic proportions as far as the heads go. But I guess one downside would be that the portraits aren't 100% accurate to Miura-san's style, though his style has evolved through the course of drawing Berserk for 30 years. The first 4 figures seems to have captured Guts' look proportion-wise and ferocity, but that statue has an action pose versus a museum one for this piece. So now we're going to put the statue together. And first off, here is the base, which is really, really heavy and makes up the bulk of the statue. But this is a really, really impressive base. Yeah, there's like so much on it. It's like so many Easter eggs pertaining to Guts' 2-year journey as a Black Swordsman. So first off, we're going to put the head of the Apostle, which keys into a hole onto the base. Then next is Guts. So there should be a key and a peg. So you just slip it in there. And next up is the sacrificial demon tree, which I believe was at the beginning of the infamous Lost Children arc. And here is the left arm, which broke, but I managed to piece it together with some Loctite. But I'm still gonna contact Sideshow with that. Next up is the cape. And the cape is really cool. I mean, it's really lightweight. And yeah, I don't foresee any leaning issues in the future. And next up is the Dragon Slayer blade and the right hand. So this is one option for the statue, which depicts the Dragon Slayer's sword just stabbing through the head of the Apostle. And it's a really, really striking pose. It's really, really awesome and really imposing. And I'm glad Prime 1 went with one of those options. And finally, we have the sash for the blade, or for the hilt. And it comes with 2 sashes, so that's pretty cool. And next up is one of the chestnut forms for Puck. And here is one of the accursed spirits, which comes with I think a peg and a magnet. So you affix that to the tree. And this is the spear, which you peg into the base. I will say it is kind of loose, but yeah, it does the job. Next up is the broken sword, which I think feels like plastic or PVC. And then you can affix another of Puck's humorous chestnut forms on it. But if you don't want to display Puck with that option, then you can close the end of the knob, or the end of the sword, with a knob and a pin. So that's pretty cool. And another option is having Puck's normal form on the base, which has him sitting on a rock. But if you don't want that option as well, you can just substitute that with a rock. So I mean, I love all these switch out options by Prime 1. I mean, it just gives more control to the collector. You know, just display however you want. Here is the Incubus, which is comes magnetized onto the rock. And then we have Guts' arrows from his crossbow, I guess. And they just peg into the 3 holes in the Apostle's head. And finally we have the 3 heads. So this is the smiling portrait. Then we have the serious portrait. And then we finally have the badass sinister portrait, which I will be displaying with. I'll be displaying him with this badass portrait. It looks really, really cool. And finally, for the finishing touch, we have the Brand of Sacrifice plaque. And there we have the completed statue. So when I finally put this piece together, I was just staring at it in awe. I was that blown away by it. The base has so many nods to Guts' bloody run of havoc and mayhem as the Black Swordsman. I mean, this is my favorite iteration of Guts. It's him relying on his guile and craftiness as well as his brute force versus the apostles that he fought. So a big plus to this statue is the fact that you can switch up poses. So if you're tired of the sword down look, with the Dragon Slayer sword just skewering the apostle's head on the base, you can change up Guts' right arm and have him heave the huge Dragon Slayer blade over his shoulder. And this look is just iconic to Guts and to Berserk. The details on this piece are really impressive. I mean, you can't have a Guts statue without any blood, and on this statue, there's tons of it. From the entrails on the base, to the blood application and splatter on his armor. I mean, the paint apps are just so well done. I mean, I haven't seen any flaws or overspray anywhere. And you can see the blood right on the blade of the Dragon Slayer sword. And I really like the dried blood on the wraps and the hilt. It's just really cool and amazing details on it. And you can see the patterning on the leather parts of the belts. I mean, this Prime 1 has gone insane with details. This is just an amazing, amazing piece. And I love how Prime 1 did the cursed spirits. They look almost glossy and almost translucent like, and they really stand out from the base. And here we have the unnamed apostle, and just looking at the gash on his head, it's just really incredible. Just the attention to detail, you can see the blood just welling in there, and just the entrails on the base. It's just so bloody and just so apt for the piece. The details on this base are just really impressive, and there's just so much going on. It just feels like Prime 1 managed to capture Miura-san's hyper-detailed art style. And yeah, that's just a really impressive feat. So here we have the Beast of Darkness, which is a manifestation of Guts' trauma and negative emotions from before the eclipse and during. So he basically has to control and hold it back and prevent it from taking over. And thus he hurts his friends. So here we have the Demon Tree, as found at the beginning of the Conviction arc, and the Demon Child, that's Guts and Casca's child. So in addition to being able to swap out poses, Prime 1 also gives you the option to swap out various forms of Puck. So you can choose between his normal form, another chestnut form, and a final one that's standing on the hilt of a sword. So it really adds some humor and levity to the piece. So to summarize the pros in a nutshell, it stands out. It's huge, it's heavy, and it's bloody. And it's guaranteed to turn heads in your collection. Second, the details are really impressive, and it's almost as if Miura-san's hyper-detailed artwork just leapt off the page. Next, there's some really cool Easter eggs on the base that really do highlight Guts' stint as the Black Swordsman. Everything from the Beast of Darkness to Guts and Casca's Demon Child. Paint apps to the piece are immaculate and vibrant. There's hardly any QC issues or overspray. And finally, this does feel like a quality piece that's worth the expense. As for cons, there are some fragile pieces to watch out for, particularly the left hand. It feels like they are connected by really thin pieces of polystone on each side. Next, the sheer weight of the piece and the large footprint of the base may make displaying it very difficult unless you have something customized or reinforced. Thus, it may make collecting the whole Berserk line virtually impossible. Just the sheer weight of all those pieces, especially Zod, how can you display all that together? Another con is that hardcore Berserk fans may find the realistic proportions on the statue off-putting. It doesn't adhere strictly to Miura-san's art. And finally, a shout out to Freddy Kissback for pointing out that the Apostle on the base is basically an unnamed grunt shown in chapter 299 of the war between Griffith and Ganishka. And it isn't even a canon kill. So I feel it's such a wasted opportunity to not showcase the epic battles that Guts went through during the Black Swordsman arc, namely fighting off the Count, the Snake Lord, and of course the infamous Lost Children chapter with Rosine. So overall, while not perfect, this Guts statue is an excellent first effort to kickstart the Berserk line by Prime 1. It's a quality statue that I think fans will be ecstatic to pick up as a centerpiece to their Berserk collection. It's a great time to be a Berserk fan. With that said, this is Spanish Heart 18. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, guys.